You may disagree, but up to me, it's a fact. You're paying running backs, it ain't no fun in that. Yeah, the sermon about to start, so I hope you know your stats. And if Kev get it wrong, then Rashad gon' have his back with the facts. Matter of fact, all we do is say wins. When wings, congregation say amen. Trades, debates, wins, losses, the latest news, bruh. Prophet Kev speak, he got him saying hallelujah.
Welcome to Preach Kev Preach with Rashad. We are the prophets. Here in another episode, another sermon coming at you from Wild Card Sports here on Wild Card TV. Rashad, my brother, what's going on?
Shoot, I'm ready for Cinco de Mayo. It's about that time.
Cinco de Mayo. Hey, you know, I'm finally glad we got some holidays coming up. Cinco de Mayo, you got Memorial Day around the corner. I need some fun. I know I've been having fun the last few weeks, but I still need fun every weekend, man. Trying to figure out what I'm gonna do because you know it's we outside now, boy. Trying to tell you.
Man, really been outside for real. I mean, when you think about it, man, the world never really did stop. As long as you had a mask on, you could still go almost anywhere you wanted to go. You can get on any plane.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you like riding Delta. Delta got the middle of the seat open, but shoot, some other airlines they got to sit right next to somebody. So I mean, as long as you really been rocking your mask, man, you can go anywhere you really want to go for real.
I'm about to say got to do the Kawhi patent. What to do, baby? So NBA, bro. Let's just start there. We got a guest later on in the show. Supposedly come through to talk some NFL draft with us. Before we get into that, man, I want to talk about the Lakers now. They're back, and they're Davis, LeBron James as far as you know the injury thing. And Davis played a couple games so far. LeBron already played 2. They had lost to the Kings and they lost to the Raptors. Then LeBron James got hurt, you know, against the Raptors. He didn't finish the game, and what happens? They play the Nuggets, no LeBron, and they win. You know, so you got to regress to the mean. I really encourage people to believe in that, like, you know, like you don't pay running backs, wings win rings, and then I feel like regress to the mean. Like I feel like that's like our 3 things right there because one, there's no way you lose to a king team with no Fox, no Harrison Barnes. And, like, you're not going to get that back somehow. You know what I mean? Like, that's just one of those fluky situations, and then they came back right. But, you know, they've been struggling a little bit even before then. And, you know, they've been falling ever since all the injuries. Right now, they currently stand at the 6th seed right now, and they're only 1 game above the Trailblazers with a hard schedule left, including the Trailblazers in that stretch. Do you think the chances are really high that the Lakers are playing a play-in game?
It just kind of depends. Like, at some point, you got to think LeBron and AD's talent, along with Schroeder, Drummond, those guys, it'll just kind of balance out, you know, on the rest of the way. Because, I mean, they've been without AD and LeBron together on the court for a long time, let alone one or the other. Because they both went out almost simultaneously. Then, of course, you kind of go through that stretch of we went out to the top. I think 2 of the top 5, but some people at least 2 of the top 10 players in the league. So of course your record started to dwindle. I thought they could maintain 500 ball till one of them got back, but of course that did not happen. Now you're looking at 4 teams already clinched: Jazz, Suns, Nuggets, and Clippers. And you know, Lakers hadn't even hit 40 wins yet. They were, you know, we were thinking they're going to be even once AD went out. You still thought, all right, LeBron can still ramp up the MVP campaign, still keep him in a top 4 projection, but he went down and they kind of went to tumbling down the standings as well. So I don't think they'll be in the play-in game, but you just never know. Like if they don't really turn it around, and if the Mavs or Blazers hit a little streak like what Denver's on right now, the Lakers could tumble down some more.
Like what I don't like. And this is probably just for like a personal reason. Like I think if the Lakers had the play-in game, I want them to play Jazz first round. Don't play Suns. Like give Chris Paul and Devin Booker a real chance because like I said, that's probably more personal, but it's like, man, if you the Suns, you having an amazing season. I get rewarded by playing the Lakers first round. That's not like that's not the way to go, you know. And then, I mean, that's where the cards may play. If it does
Well, I
happen.
mean, the way that's the game. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think anybody's gonna be a cake matchup. And if you get Suns, Blazers, or Suns, Mavs at 2-7, or whoever gets 2-7, I don't think anybody's gonna be a cake matchup. Even at the 1-8, like I don't care who it is. I don't think any matchup in the West is gonna be a walkthrough because
Well,
all it takes is one injury
yeah,
or
that's true.
somebody not get right, and it's over with. Like you got the Jazz, man, they're playing without Conley and Mitchell right now. I mean, I think if the Jazz ran into the Warriors with Steph could probably
I mean,
will them to that 4-3 in a
now,
7-game
now
series.
are you saying fully healthy?
No, like Mitchell.
Oh, you
I
talking
mean,
without Mitchell?
there's no guarantee he's gonna come back right. You
Right,
know,
that's true. That's
or,
true. I mean, yeah, I
or if
get
he
you
come
saying.
back and re-aggravate it. You know, it's just if you missing Mitchell and it's Bogdanovich, some of
Clarkson,
what's
my
left
boy,
of
now.
Conley and Gobert and Joe Ingles. I mean, Steph Curry can get hot for a week and a half and
He's showed it already.
get a
Yeah.
get a little 1-8 series right there. You know, so it just I don't. And then in the playing game, you just never really know because like, what if the team who's currently at 7 loses versus the 8 seed, and now that team is in the 8 spot. So I mean, the way the playing game is set up, nobody's gonna get an easy cakewalk. So anybody could be out first round.
So I'm glad you mentioned that. So LeBron James sticking with the Lakers going to come out and say like, whoever came up with this playoff format need to get fired. Like this is bullshit. Now, is he saying that because the Lakers are going down, or do you really think it's not a fair situation? Because I actually like the playing format as far as the like I'm not for it. Like I'll probably be one of the people that's like not against it because you work your tail off to be 7-8, but I do understand like the 9 may not play the same games. Like you might get a worse team 4 times, but I got to play the Lakers or the Suns more times than you do. But with the format, I like that the 7-8 play each other for the 7 seed. And then that if you got to force 9 and 10 to win twice. I like that. Like that's more of a, not more of luck of the draw, but more of like I feel like that's more steady. Like okay, 7-8. So one of y'all guaranteed to make the playoffs, right? And then it is 9 and 10. Do you have a shot? So currently right now is Blazers, Warriors, Grizzlies, and Spurs. Blazers will play the Warriors, which Dame versus Curry. I probably would take Blazers. I think they have a better roster. So that means Warriors will have to beat Grizzlies or Spurs, which they're more capable of doing. So I feel like it is going to come down to the end, like it always is. Warriors and Grizzlies had the same record. Grizzlies a half game behind them. Spurs right there as well. Do you like the play-in format? I mean, you think LeBron James is just capping right now because of the way Lakers are going?
I mean, his feelings could be valid. I mean, he could have liked it last year just for the bubble, and he could not like it this year. I mean, he's entitled to change his mind. I mean, I think last year with the bubble, a lot of stuff seemed like a good idea just because they were trying to make some extra revenue with fans not being there. You're trying to keep interest in the game, just different situations. So I'm not really tripping if he liked it last year and changed his mind this year. That's people. We get new information, a new situation, and we change our mind. So it could be because he's going to be potentially in the play-in game. It could be because he just feel like whether you're the 7 or 8, you already earned your spot. You should be able to go in and start playing. So it could be for various reasons why he feels different, but I'm not tripping either way. For me, I'm not against it, but I'm not for it. I still think the NBA should be doing 1 through 16 seeding. Like the conference thing is great to a certain extent because I feel like if you were to do a 1 through 16, there are certain teams with better records that would have different seeding under a 1 through 16 format versus just the 8, and 8. So, I mean, yeah, it's making teams more competitive. Like a lot of trades didn't really happen, so a lot of teams are trying to hold on to their guys, thinking we can make a push for 7 through 10, hopefully get into the play-in game. So that's an option, but I would still prefer they went to, I won't say an NFL style, but at least something like, the NBA has divisions, but nobody cares about it. Like, why not just
It is there for sure.
see 1 through 16, do an NFL style where the top, whether despite your record, the first 6 seeds are like the division winners, and then you'll see 7 through 16 by records and tiebreaks, all that kind of stuff. I'd rather see something like that. But playing game, I'm not exactly for it, but I'm not against it either because it does keep it interesting as far as like the race to the end, 7 through 10. So it's a good step in the direction, but at the same time, I'm not just all hype about it either.
Yeah, I mean, cause like for instance, you know, and I know we both predicted the Wizards are gonna be like special. The way Russ is playing right now, and Beal, like they on a mission, bro. Like another career high for Westbrook, 21 rebounds, 24 assists. Like, come on, bro, this man is out here playing video games numbers, and you know, for his team, they're the 10th seed right now, and you know, comfortably, like in the 10th spot over the Raptors, 3 games with like 6-7 games left, so. They have potential to be the 8th seed. You know what I'm saying? Like they have the potential to be right there in the mix and you know try to avoid stuff. It's like you give guys like Curry, the Pelicans with Zion and Bi, and you giving Bradley Beal and Russ the opportunity to make amends because this year I feel like this year you needed it right. So like all these COVID protocols and stuff like that. Like the Miami Heat started off slow. Wizards was only Beal and Russ and like a bunch of like no names because like what. The third best player through the 8th best player all had COVID, whatever it was, and you know Russ wasn't playing back-to-back nights then at that time.
I mean, it wasn't even if you had it. It's about to just contact tracing. They were just like, okay,
you wasn't playing.
Yeah, it's like you've been in close proximity to so and so. So now you by protocol standards, you got to miss 10 to 14 days. I mean, you know, I would hope that now with vaccines out and more stuff going on that. Certain things won't be that case, but who really know? Yeah, for this year, I think last year bubble situation, season got canceled to keep interest because certain teams were kind of heating up and couldn't make the playoffs. Like last year, we had the Grizzlies that were kind of out of nowhere, but the Blazers dealt with certain things and they were able to make a push and get in, and they were able to make it somewhat competitive against the Lakers. Some people even like Barkley and some others were picking the Blazers to beat the Lakers. So. Just stuff like that where with an injury, Blazers could have maybe made a run. And then, of course, this year you had so many guys going out due to COVID itself, COVID protocol, contact tracing, things of that nature. So I'm cool with it for this year. But maybe in the future they might have to revisit it.
Yeah, and then when you're playing like what's what I'm looking for? Like you're playing so many games and so many times, like it's like injuries catch up to you as well. So like you got like we saw the Mitchell, the LeBrons, the ADs, like we talked about, like all that happens. So yeah, I'm very interested in I'll actually like to play in game at least for this season, just because like I said, you giving an opportunity for like some for that BS that happened to that you can't control. Some things you can't control. Like you don't know if you was around somebody, or who they've been around. So it is what it is, but. Like got teams like the Wizards, like I'm so excited for like Curry and the Warriors and Beal and them and Russ that had that opportunity because if they get in as AC, no matter what it is, no matter who the opponent is, like you better stop playing. Like you better play for real because you like you said, mentioned with the Jazz, like it don't matter. Curry can do it by himself, and Russ can do it by himself. Like you know what I'm saying? Like so it's
and like that's still a good thing about the play-in where. Certain guys' star power won't be eliminated because let's say the Wizards do hop in the A spot and they play the Nets or the Sixers, whoever gets that top spot. That's gonna be an intriguing series. So like you don't want to see Russ averaging a triple-double, Beal right there with Bell and Curry for the scoring title all the way down to the end, but then they both missed the playoffs. Like that's two of your bigger names and brighter superstars in the league not being in. Like the Bulls with Zach LaVine, that's a cool little story. Vucevic, things like that. But Russ, Russ is a household name. Like people know Russ, MVP. I mean, dude is our locked in for averaging a triple-double for the 4th season in the last 5. I mean, barring James Harden coming back and doing something crazy on the assist side, Russ going to lead the league in assists for like the 3rd time in the last 5 years, whatever. So that's a household name. This dude is making it happen. So you want to see Russ and a guy like Beal who can snap for 50 in a playing game just because of that league stature. And of course, you don't want to see Beal demand out of Washington either.
Right. Yeah. You want to give them the opportunity, and I feel like, bro, you give Bradley Beal and Russ this opportunity to play the Nets, like with the struggling James Harden as far as like getting back from injury. Like it's, I mean, the way Rui playing right now, like the way you got a real good chance, and you know I don't want to be the Charles Barkley of the world and say I'm gonna pick Wizards, but man, it's crazy how like before all these trades, you know, we were saying I was on the table saying that this is the best duo in the league outside of LeBron and Davis. Like this, I was saying this is the best duo in the league, like hands down. And you know, it took Russ a minute because remember Russ was struggling like early in the season. Like I was like, man, maybe he lost.
They had too much going on.
Yeah,
like,
that's true
to see them turning around is crazy. I thought. Yeah. I still think he may be fired after the year of Scott Brooks, but maybe the turnaround and the Russ connect can help save Scott Brooks. If they win a couple playoff games, it may save him. But I still thought they were kind of down bad. I thought he was in danger of being fired. It wasn't that Russ was aging; he was just playing bad ball, and some of that was due to you playing with the guys from the G League. Got to come and fill the roster out. So they weren't winning. Russ was going through some struggles. It was good. Bill was putting up numbers, but they were losing. So it all worked out now.
I mean, it was good to pick on them though. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it was good to pick on them. Like to lose a certain game because they couldn't play defense. The over was always hitting. Just a couple nights ago, man, they took paces to work. Like. And they put like 154 points on the board. Like it's a.
But stuff like that shows you how valuable certain stuff is that people just kind of dismiss. Like that shows how Nate McMillan's impact on the Pacers defensively was there. Or now they missing Miles Turner, that big body in the middle that could contest all these dunks and layups and mid-range stuff, switch to pick and rolls. That's why they scoring almost 300 combined points because there's no defensive presence on that sideline or in the middle with Turner. So stuff like the McMillan transition, Turner being out, it's just certain Brogdon, like just certain guys who pride themselves on defense, like Depot not being there. Certain little things that happen, it shows in situations like that.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of glad that the Pacers are struggling because you look at Nate McMillan out here flourishing with the Hawks, being the 5 seed right now. Hey, another team
they took off once they fired Lloyd Pierce. I mean, you never want to see anybody get fired, but they did take off, and I'm glad the Raptors saw it because I was telling people all the time like the Raptors gonna be sorry. They can't lose these people.
They had a lot of stuff too going on too though. Like they just couldn't. They don't have the rust to recover. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you have to lean on Siakam.
I just think they're not a good team, man. You can't lose so many guys like Kawhi.
Well, they probably
the Gasol, the Ibaka's, like they've lost so much wisdom and experience and just great guys, like locker room guys and players. Like they just lost too much. Like I like Trent coming over and still have Lowry. Of course, that trade thing was in the air with them. You know, they signed Van Fleet and Siakam to be the future, but I think they're going through a little transition phase too. So they may be a team next year, but for this year, I knew they were going to struggle this year. Like they're like 11 games on the 500.
Yeah, I mean they're only 3 games back from the thing, but it is crazy. Like how many games we got? What so it's 72 total games. What Van Fleet got 50, Siakam 53, Kyle Lowry 46, OG 43, Boucher at 59. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at that's right. Yeah. So I mean you playing Utah wannabe 46 games and Stanley Johnson was always a disappointment. He's like, but yeah, you're right though. I mean, the Raptors, it just like it. All it took was one thing. Like you said, you everybody else misses the game and stuff like that and whatever. And you know, I mean, it is what it is. Let's move on to the Knicks real quick. The Julius Randle, Knicks. What are you thinking about right now? Because like a lot of teams, you have the Denver Nuggets, who was homegrown, right? Michael Porter Jr., Murray, Jokic, all became stars on the Denver Nuggets. Or you take that route where you're taking the Lakers route where you draft Randall and the Kuzma, B.I., and you flip it for a star, bring it in LeBron James. Or do like the Nets did, same thing where they got Karis LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie, and you're flipping Karis, and now you're getting Kevin Durant, Kyrie, and James Harden. Like Do you think a Knicks, because of how big their market is, like just like LA Lakers, do they start to flip like with the season that they got right now, being a 4 seed, potentially if it's Hawks versus Knicks, I'm taking Knicks in the series. But if they got to the second round, now he's like, oh, we got promise. Julius Randle's an all NBA player. RJ Barrett's coming to his own. What do you think about like, you know, the way the Knicks should go, just from like a GM standpoint, or how they should approach it? Because a lot of people like to do that, you know, rebuild real quick, or let's just stay young and let's just build up.
I mean, they're definitely gonna go big fish hunting. I mean, it's the Knicks. They have to. I mean, you can't be this quote unquote story brand and have this billionaire owner and all this money and not try to go big game hunting. So with their ownership and the people in the front office, at some point they will try to make a splash trade or signing. I mean, that's just what they do. They missed out on KD and Kyrie. I mean, whether it's re-signing Randall to something longer, whether it's targeting a trade piece, because they have so many connections around the league with Worldwide West and those guys. The Knicks are going after somebody. It's just a matter of who it is. I mean, they could be looking at somebody like just Oladipo, even something like that. Like they're going to try to move in the right direction. Tom Thibodeau still has connections all over the league, so they may try to swing a trade with a Boston or a Minnesota. Like they're going to get somebody. They're not going to just sit idly on the sidelines during off seasons and things like that. All it takes is one good year. I mean, they're sitting at 4th. They're going to more likely be in the 4, no lower than the 5 spot in the playoffs. They're going after somebody. Even with the first round exit, people going to still want to be like, I can go elevate them to the next round or the conference finals.
You mentioned Depot, but like, what about a guy like who I think it's easier to get and he kind of fit them, like a DeMar DeRozan, like. But he may want to go there. I don't know how he would fit on the team, but he may go there. But the only problem is, one, you got a lot of facilitators. Randall, RJ, and DeRozan can have the ball in their hands. But you know, when you get somebody like DeRozan, like, do you not now or a guy like Reggie Bullock, do he lose minutes? Who's been very valuable, or are you playing DeMar DeRozan is very comfortable being the quote unquote point guard, like for the Spurs, like he would lead the team in assists right now. So you know, The Knicks, I'm like you said, you mentioned this a long time ago, like, and I'm glad it's coming to fruition. It's about like the teams are so much better when it's a big market driven sport. LA, you got both LA is good. You got both New York teams are good, and you know all we need now is who we need. We got.
You're missing Chicago.
But Chicago's the only one that we're waiting on. Like that's the only
when you have the big cities, the big markets, and like a few of like the dope homegrown bases balling, it makes the league way better. So if you can get like a Philly, a Boston, a Knicks, a Nets, I mean a Miami, and you know you may throw in a Pacers here and there, or the Bucks always have a strong fan base. When they're winning, the Raptors fan base is strong. Of course, like we said, we just talked about the Bulls. Like that's a huge market. I mean, in the Pistons heyday, Bad Boys and the Billups Wallace Boys era, they fan base was rocking. So whenever you have a couple like Cleveland with LeBron, when they're winning, that fan base is rocking. So long as you have like the staples, like those blue, I won't say blue book, that's more college team, but those legacies, those legacies like Philly, Boston. Great cities like Miami, of course, Knicks, Nets, things like that. Certain places, when you have those places rocking, the NBA's in a much better space. Just like on the West, the two LAs, the Phoenixes, or the Dallas, Houston, so big major cities. The league is in a good spot.
I'm about to say we got a long way to bring Houston back.
People try to undersell what James Harden was doing. Man, you go from being a top 4 team in the West, MVP, you know, player 2 away from winning the title or at least going to the finals with the Chris Paul thing, and now James Harden is gone. Now you're hoping to there aren't a lot of James Hardens around, so I'm not sure what they do in the draft if they even get lucky with a good pick. But you got Christian Wood, you got John Wall. Let's see where they landed in the draft lottery, and can they rebuild? I mean, I don't think anybody like the Kate Cunninghams or the Jaden Suggs are the guys that can turn the franchise around. So Houston's a great city, great market, but they may be at the bottom of the West for a while.
I'm about to say we did mention Chicago. I'm gonna make a phone call real quick to one of our guests. He said he couldn't make it in as far as camera wise, but I'm gonna give him a call because he's a Chicago fan, right? And he probably a Bulls fan, so I probably should get his opinion on trading for Vucevic, and then they sorry. They was right there in the playoffs too. So we'll see if he can pick up the phone. Do you hear the ring going?
Yeah.
Yo. Oh, he hung up the phone. Okay, he hung up on me. I don't understand. So I don't get it. So maybe he'll call back. But
Levine did go down too. So I mean, stuff like they weren't really once they got Vucevic, they weren't winning a lot anyway. But they did go down once.
Two All-Stars.
Yeah, I mean.
All right, let's try this again. Here you go. Yo, hello. Can you let me see it? Let me make sure I get it right. You there?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you fine. Rashad, you hear him?
Yeah, we good, man.
Yeah.
All right, so welcome.
Talk to you guys.
Hey, welcome to the show, Kyle. We right now. This is Fierce George. He's a Chicago Bears fan. From the Fierce.
Right.
So we talk about Chicago as far as big markets, and we're talking about the Lakers and Knicks, and then we talk about all we waiting on now is the Chicago Bulls, man. Are you into basketball like that, like you are the Bears, or what?
Yeah, I'm a big Bulls fan. Yeah. And I was listening a little bit to you guys talking beforehand. As far as the Vucevic trade or Vucevic, I really liked it at the time, and I liked the aggressiveness with the idea of, hey, let's push for a postseason appearance. But man, like now you look at it and you're like, well, now we might end up without a first round pick, and it's all gonna be reliant on free agency. And free agents haven't been flocking to Chicago very much frequently. So
Hey, so let's talk about your Chicago Bears. The draft was this past weekend. We had obviously Trevor Lawrence going to Jacksonville. The Trey Lance, me and Rashad said on the podcast last week that if you're the 49ers, you might as well take the upside, and that's what they did at 3. We knew Zach Wilson was going to the Jets. And then so that's what after that is the Matt Jones and Justin Fields, and where do they fall at? And Rashad was adamant about, like, if you're a team, you just sit there and wait, which the Patriots did. A team like Chicago Bears, I think we mentioned the Raiders as a team, and the football team as a team, 3 teams that can trade up to go get a Justin Fields. So how happy were you when you saw that Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy were very aggressive in the draft to go get their guy?
Oh man, if I can do a quick shameless plug on our podcast, Frustration Nation, we were doing a live draft reaction, and I flipped out. Oh my word, I was shouting at the top of my lungs. I had a 2-liter of 7-Up that apparently I had forgotten to close, and I knocked the whole thing over and spilled all over the floor.
Tragic Brunson alert.
I was so pumped.
All right, so as a Vikings fan, I was not happy about this decision because not only did Justin Fields get drafted to Chicago Bears, I was hoping Aaron Rodgers get traded away, and he's still there. So anyway,
yeah, I know, what the heck.
But it's like, so the Bears did have a great draft. In my opinion, you got some much needed offensive line help. You also gave I think a drafted a running back. You got a receiver late in the draft, and you got some corners. So to be honest, Ryan Pace he tried to make up for this, for the Mitch Trubisky decision. And what's funny is me and Rashad had made so many jokes about Mitch Trubisky, and we can't no longer because now the Bears actually have at least the upside of a potential star in this league. So what are you go ahead. Go ahead.
That a lot of people have been saying, like, oh, why do you have so much hope or whatever? But the thing about Justin Fields is we've never had a quarterback like this. A quarterback that has such a resume as Justin Fields does, and such success at the level that Justin Fields has. He is only the sixth quarterback drafted in the first round since like the 1975 or something. Like it's crazy, and that's why there's so much excitement in Chicago, because we see quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes, dynamic dual threat quarterbacks. Cam Newton would be another one, Russell Wilson, and we see Justin Fields right there showing a similar skill set. So I don't have any other words really. I'm so excited. I'm just ready for the season.
Yeah, I want to see how long they let Andy start, because there's no way Justin Fields is going to start the year. I mean, ideally he would, but I don't think he'll start the year. So I want to see how many games they give Andy and how fast can Fields pick up the offense, because they could be a sneaky playoff team if Fields can hit the ground running. You get Montgomery back off of a great year. He was leading people to the fantasy football championship last year, so maybe he can get the Bears to a division title. You got Tariq Cohen back, Allen Robinson franchise tag. You got a little steal in the second round of the draft. You still have your loaded defense. So Pace and Nagy, their feet are to the fire this year. So maybe it can spark a good little playoff run or a good season for them.
Yeah, I think I don't know exactly how they're going to handle Dalton. I think Dalton is going to be just fine. Like, I don't think he's going to knock anybody's socks off, but I don't think the Bears are going to, like, lose tons of games because of Dalton. There will be other factors at play there. I feel like Dalton's very much, your average quarterback. But if I had to pick, I think they want to avoid a repeat of Trubisky. And with Trubisky, he started week 5. I would pick Dalton to start probably at least 6 games, 6 or 7, and you'd have Fields start that last 10 or 11 games of the season. That would be my guess. But some people have been saying, hey, if Fields beats Dalton outright in training camp, then why not just start him? So I don't know.
Well, I can tell you this. I have never seen a veteran quarterback lose in the off season. Like, Tyrod Taylor beat out Baker Mayfield and Justin Herbert. Eli Manning beat out Daniel Jones. It's kind of hard for that veteran quarterback to actually beat out somebody. So we'll see May 12th when the season come out, because we can really predict like how the season going to go for the Bears when the schedule come out and be like, okay, this might be the perfect week, because you don't want to throw him. I'm just speculating. I haven't looked at the schedule, but what if you're playing like the Ravens, Steelers, Vikings 3 weeks in a row? Like, do you really want to throw him into fire, against a defense like that, or do you want to throw him into a cupcake matchup like the Detroit Lions? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that's a good point too. I don't have any thoughts on the schedule because we'll just have to wait. I just know that for us with our teams in the NFC North, we have a very tough schedule overall this year. So. Yeah. But what did you think about all the Aaron Rodgers stuff?
Rashad, what you got about Aaron Rodgers, man?
I mean, this is probably the most predictable thing that's bound to happen. I mean, it's kind of like when you date somebody and you see it happen, then you be like, I don't think it happened to me, but I'm going to go there anyway. Because, like, basically what's happened to him, he did to Brett Favre. They drafted him. Mm-hmm. Brett was kind of off and on. They pushed Brett out. Aaron starts. I think it took like 2 years. So, I mean, it was the same thing. They drafted Jordan Love. They thought Aaron would probably play bad, but instead the dude goes on to be the MVP. So now you're like, oh, crap, we done messed up. He still got some game left in it, and we don't even think this guy's ready. So, it was just one of those things where they probably just misplayed their hand. Mm-hmm. Granted, I will say they had a little bit of a right to do so, because at one point Rodgers' stats were starting to decline, age, injuries, but when he was injured, they were in disarray. I mean, Deshaun Kaiser and these other guys couldn't win a game for him. So they were somewhat justified in making the Jordan Love move, but also it's still Aaron Rodgers. I think the dude's one of the 5 best QBs ever. They didn't have to move up to draft Jordan Love, and then they didn't even tell him, like, hey, we're going to move up and this guy's trying to win a Super Bowl. Y'all could have went and got Justin Jefferson or some other receivers. Instead, you take a QB who can't even play. I mean, Rodgers gonna be out there at some point. I'm waiting for the next month because once June hits, I think somebody's gonna put a package together and try to trade him, try to trade for him.
Oh man, I hope so. I can't wait to watch him play for someone else.
Oh, what? I can't. I can't wait. I'm sick of him. But like Rashad said, he is one of the greatest talents that I've ever seen at that position. And with Aaron Rodgers, man, it feel like you have a lot of like leeway with the Packers, like of him like duct taping the franchise, quote unquote. Like same thing we see Russell Bust over there in Seattle. Like one guy really can make a difference. And Aaron Rodgers, they were 26-6 the last 2 years, and nobody's out here screaming like they have a great roster. I mean, you have one of the best receivers in the game, Devontae Adams, a good running back, Aaron Jones. You got your Kenny Clark and the Alexander. So you got talent on the board, but nobody's screaming saying they have a better roster than the 49ers or whatever it is. But like Rashad said, it is going to be a team that's going to bring a package. I'm hoping it's Denver because they didn't make a trade. And Vic Fangio is like over there like, yo, I'm not about to do this with Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. So I need somebody to come help me, come save me. Because you put Aaron Rodgers over there, or you put Aaron Rodgers anywhere, it's probably a difference.
Hey, I would love the Broncos for multiple reasons. One, he's in the AFC. We don't have to worry about him. Two is the nation would be treated to 2 Mahomes-Rodgers games every season.
Yeah. Because
they're in the AFC West division.
That's a move. That's a move for somebody to make because that's how you change the landscape. Because if you think, Rashad, do you think the best way for Aaron Rodgers is to win a Super Bowl? Like, let's say you say Aaron Rodgers win a Super Bowl this year. Does it make more sense that he's in the AFC or probably in the NFC?
I'm gonna still go NFC. I mean, both conferences are tough, but you're looking at we're gonna say the 2 people on his list are for sure they're like high up are the Raiders and Broncos. So we're just gonna hypothetically throw him on one of those teams. You're still in the same division. The Chargers, they do have a new head coach, but they're still a talented team. So you could drop some games to that team. Or of course the Chiefs with Mahomes. I mean, they're basically in salary cap hell, but somehow they keep figuring it out, bringing guys in, making the roster better around Mahomes. So
somehow,
you're not guaranteed to win the division right there. So you're already looking at a wild card playoff game. We still haven't mentioned what the Ravens are going to be. Lamar's contract's coming up at some point, but the Ravens are still a good team. You still got the Buffalo Bills, who are a solid team. The Patriots will not be down forever. I don't know how good Cam's going to be or Mac Jones, but the Patriots with Belichick will not be down forever. And then you still got other teams that are just always going to hover around. The Steelers have never been a perennially bad team, so you're looking at them. The Browns are making moves. And, I mean, we can keep going through the AFC. Like, there's other teams that are going to pop up. At least in the NFC, you're still for sure the second best QB. Brady has 1, maybe 2 years left. And then after that, I think you got to pick Green Bay. 49ers roster is crazy. But at the same time, my man Garoppolo only played the whole season once. And then you got to still think about, after that, the Rams. I mean, Stafford. Is he the guy or not? Like, the Rams have a team, but it's still like, is Stafford going to win year one? After that, it's Seattle, Russell Bust. Seattle's always up and down. They didn't want to play a game in a couple of years. The Cowboys always crash and burn. So your best bet to win a Super Bowl is going to be in the NFC. The NFC turns over every year.
You're right. I'm speaking of quarterback. I'm glad you mentioned Stafford. I'm glad he gone too. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, at this point, like, since we don't know if Justin Fields is starting or exactly what has up with Rodgers, I mean, Kev, you're looking at Kirk Cousins as probably the best quarterback in the NFC North.
I was sitting there begging for Rodgers to get taken away. But Rashad's right though about that NFC thing. It was like, I mean, I feel like the AFC, like, I feel like, we talk about the Steelers every single year, the Ravens, but they all had their weakness, they all had their flaws too. And you're right about the NFC, like they really do turn over a lot. Where you have like it's always a new 4 every year. that's in
And I
there.
forgot the Colts. The Colts got a loaded roster.
Colts, you can't forget the Dolphins over there. Like Dolphins looking really good right now. I mean, you got a Titans always stick around. We'll see about the Titans with no Arthur Smith this year. I'm very interested to see how their offense is going to turn out. But yeah, the AFC, I guess the whole league is loaded. When you think about it.
I don't think so. I think the AFC is way better than the NFC.
Ooh.
So, like, if you were to rank the NFC, I think if we all rank the top 5 in the NFC right now, we'll all have different top 5s in the NFC. If we say AFC, it's gonna be about the same, except for probably one team. So I think the NFC is just way, way up and down. Like, we're gonna all say Tampa for sure, NFC top 5. But after that, I think we all gonna debate who else. But we'll all probably say Rams. But after that, I mean, as long as Green Bay has Rodgers, you got to put them up there. He's the best QB on that side outside of Brady. But after that, who else you gonna pick as a top 5 team? 49ers, Jimmy G, we don't know. I mean,
yeah, you're right. I mean,
Yeah, I hear your point. I see your point.
you gonna pick the Saints? No Drew Brees? Like,
hell no.
Like in NFC,
picking
I
no-
don't know. I mean, the NFC, the top 5, the order and the exact 5 teams would vary amongst everybody. But if you go AFC, I think we'll all say for sure you got to put Chiefs and Ravens top 2, and then after that, I think you got to put the roster alone. You got to put Browns top 5. You got to put Bills top 5. And I would say Colts, but if you say Dolphins, I would trip off that because I have Dolphins right there at 6. So I think AFC wise, you're closer in teams versus NFC. It's a wide range of outcomes.
So, what did you make of the report, Kev, that the Vikings were wanting to get Fields at 14? Because as a division rival, oh man, I ate that up.
you know, I really don't know how much to believe into it because, I mean, I know a lot of Vikings fans wanted Justin Fields, and I understand, but I think it's to the same point of what, obviously not the same level, but what Rashad was talking about with Aaron Rodgers and getting Jordan Love, like, it don't help you. Like, if it doesn't help you right now, and you know, it's always quarterbacks available. Like, it's a reason why every single year, like, we're having a quarterback debate who's getting drafted. Like, it's always 4 to 5 quarterbacks getting drafted. So it's a reason for that. So, you know, with the state the Vikings in, I feel like they needed other pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
But I mean, I guess I would have been okay with it. I wouldn't have liked it though. It would have been more of a hindsight view. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
after Kirk leave and then Fields win this playoff game. Oh, I knew that was a great pick. That's kind of how I looked at it.
Right. I think Kellen Mond will actually be a sneaky good pick for you. I'm curious to see how he develops, but I think he could have a good future in the NFL.
I was about to say, yeah. I think I would rather have what we had where we got Dursall later on when we pick up Kellen Mond with the pick from the Jets. Like, I feel like those probably would have been better. I would have had those 3 guys that we got instead of the Justin Fields. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And as a Bears fan, I mean, not only did we get Fields, but I was impressed that we traded up to get Tevin Jenkins, who a lot of people had mocked
First
the
round.
Bears at 20 anyway. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, talk about the cojones that Chase has, because not only does he trade up to get QB, but then he trades up again in the second round to get the tackle. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty good actually. Like, yeah, like I said, yeah, I think y'all really, like, I love what we did in the draft, but I really love what y'all did. Like, it's kind of hate to say that, but
Yeah.
it's true.
Right. Well, I love what the Packers did. There's nothing like taking a cornerback first round when your quarterback's been asking for offensive players forever.
Yeah, I mean, that's a smart way. That's the way to get them out of here. You know, I was sitting there, I stood up on the table and clapped my hands up because that's an amazing pick. I want to ask you before I let you go. If you had to rank the quarterbacks that being drafted in the first round, how do you see their career going? Like, give me or give me a rank, I'm also gonna cut this out for you. So you better be right.
Oh man. So obviously I have a little bit of bias now. But I think a ranking. I really think it's gonna go Lawrence, Fields, Jones. I'm gonna go Lance and then Wilson. And my main reason for Wilson 5 is because he's been going to the Jets. I know Robert Saleh is gonna be a good coach, but it's the Jets, and I just can't get past the Jets. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's the Jets is my answer for that. So, and I think Lance is just a high risk, like, low floor, high ceiling guy. So, yeah, so I'm going Lawrence, Fields, Jones, Lance, Wilson.
Okay, Rashad, same question. Like, as far as like how you think their career gonna go 1 through 5.
Oh, you definitely got to put Zach Wilson last. I'll tell you all the time. Jets, sorry, they haven't got quarterback right in forever. So whoever Jets take is always going to be last. I mean, I had hope for Sam Darnold, but Zach Wilson has to be last. Based upon situation, I think you gotta go Trey Lance at the top because the roster is already just kind of tailor made for him. Granted, he don't really have the reps. I like to call them reps. Like, he only threw the ball, I think, 200 or 300 times in his 1 year. Yeah, they had a good year, undefeated season, but he don't have enough reps. But I think Shanahan and those guys can coach him up, put a roster around him, and make him into a star. So I'm gonna go Lance at 1, and then I'm gonna go Justin Fields at 2, Trevor at 3, and then I'll go Mac Jones at 4. I'm gonna go Fields at 2 just because normally the guy who slips has a chance to have a better career. And then I think I don't think Pace and Nagy are the long-term answers. So I'm thinking, all right, this year, maybe that last, maybe one more. If Fields put some good stuff on tape, you're looking at a guy like Bieniemy going to Chicago. They can get some free agents there. And then Fields can maybe turn to elite QB. Like, I'll never. If Green Bay loses Rodgers, I think Fields has the best chance of being the next best NFC North QB. I don't think the Lions or Vikings will ever be able to say they got the best QB in the division. So I'm gonna go Fields at 2, Trevor at 3 because it's the Jaguars, and you got to think about the most number 1 picks that are QBs. Like, it's like a fork in the road. You can be Michael Vick, electric for a year. You can be Carson Palmer, got to force your way out. You can be Jamarcus Russell, or you can be Cam Newton, peak and then go down. Or you can be Andrew Luck, be good and get hurt because you're going to bad situations. So the varying degree of most first-round picks that are QBs is not going to be that high. So the degree is going to be high, but success won't be all that high. So I'm going to go Lawrence in the middle because he can go either way at 3. Mac Jones, until he get in a football shape, I got to put him 4, and Zach Wilson at 5. Like, Mac Jones need to get a personal trainer, man, for real.
All right, I guess my list would be this. So, all right, so as far as a better career, I guess better career and individual are 2 different lists. Because individual, I'm taking Lawrence hands down no matter what. But with all now the circumstances that we have and we know where everybody's at, I'm going to go 1 Justin Fields, just because I think Chicago Bears, as far as roster wise, I mean we've seen it. They've been a QB away for a long time, and all you needed was a competent quarterback just to be average, like just to not mess up. And you saw the Nick Foles come back, in the game. Mitch came back in the game, beat Atlanta. Like, so all you got to do is be slightly above average, and that's probably good enough for what the Bears have. I go him 1. I actually go Trevor Lawrence 2. I think he's the most suited guy to take Jacksonville, from bottom to top, and because he's in the AFC South, you have a good reason to do it. I mean, Blake Bortles had a great defense behind him, and he was sorry. So you give a QB like Trey Lawrence, maybe it could be Trevor or bust down there in Jacksonville. It's possible. At 3, I go Trey Lance just because of the roster around him with the 49ers, and then I'm actually gonna go 4. I'm actually gonna go Zach Wilson, only because they have there'd be the New York 49ers over there. And with that being said, if they can have the Kyle Shanahan success, then with being having the coaches over there, then maybe New York can turn it around a little bit. Maybe Zach Wilson might not be the guy to put the franchise on his back, but with good coaches, now Adam Gase, you have a shot. And then 5, I'll go Matt Jones just because I don't think he I always say first round quarterbacks always play. Unless Cam Newton get hurt, play wise, I don't see how Matt Jones ever takes Cam Newton's spot, at least for this season.
Interesting.
Well, you know Cam is a long-term answer, though.
Yeah, but
right.
He may be. That's the thing. He may be.
I'm just happy sitting here that it's all consensus that Fields is in our top 2. That makes me, as a Bears fan, very happy.
Yeah. Hopefully, Allen Robinson's still not happy and he still want to leave. That's my only prayer now. It's for Allen Robinson to demand out.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it's after June 1st. Maybe we'll see what the Bears have with cap room, if they can offer him an extension at all. We'll find out. But yeah.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate you for joining us today, man. I know it was supposed to be on camera, but things happen. But the show still went on.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, for all the listeners, I'm a high school baseball coach, and we've been slaughtered every single game. And today was the first game that we didn't win, but we only lost by 1. And so it was in a very intense game, and it went long. But if you guys want to follow me and my Bears talk, I'm at FuriousGeorge94 on Twitter. I have a podcast called Full Press Bears and another podcast called Frustration Nation, where I do Bears. I do Chicago and Detroit sports with a buddy of mine from college. That's at Real FN Podcast on Twitter. So would love it if you guys could check that out. Kev, thanks again for having me on, man.
Oh yeah, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Have a good one. Take care, bro.
Yep. Bye. See you. Bye.
All right, and that was Kyle George. Make sure y'all follow him on Furious George 94 on Twitter. All right, Rashad, before we get out of here, man, I know we talked about during the draft, like a lot of different things happen. One thing I want to ask you real quick before we get out of here: Dallas Cowboys. Were you glad that they went their knees as far as like defense, like just like the Carolina Panthers with all defense last year? Like Cowboys pretty much went all defense this year with like 3 corners. Micah Parsons.
I mean, what choice they had? You can't go offense. They want to play.
Right. You're right. You're right. Because, taking CeeDee Lamb last year, you already got Zeke and Tony Pollard. You don't need quarterback. You need an offensive line. I thought they were going to take Slater because he was falling. And I mean, what we said before, offensive line or defense is pretty much your basis, knees. And, I know a lot of people talk about like Dan Quinn get he got Keanu Neal over there. Kazee, now you got Micah Parsons. Like every time they keep drafting these guys who can play linebacker, because Keanu Neal played linebacker in college a little bit, it making that Jalen Smith contract stupid. Like it's making it worse and worse. And all you had to do was not pay him. You could pay Byron Jones. Like I think we still gonna have that effect every time like somebody pop off. Like, see, you should have did this, but. That Jalen Smith, man, he might get cut. I don't know. Like I'm just speculating, but you don't bring all these guys in just to, just to sit a big contract out on the bench.
I mean, Cowboys, you gotta wait and see, man. They have something going on every year. It's always a wait and see with them.
That's facts. Was there any other like draft selection that you thought that was like pretty good, or like a team who had a good draft? Anything?
No, everybody kind of went status quo and took their needs. I mean, everybody kind of just followed status quo. I mean, Chargers need O-line and went O-line. Panthers went defense. Broncos went defense. They want to take QBs. I mean, everybody kind of just went status quo. They kind of followed the coaching trend. Yeah. Defensive guys take defensive guys. Fill the needs. Fill the open holes. So I think everybody kind of just followed status quo.
Yeah, I mean,
which is a good thing.
Yeah, you got something like it is team needs or is best player available, and you have to decide like what we need most. And you can always use depth. Depth is a key thing in football too. So you'll see a team already draft receivers, still draft another one because you need that depth. So shout out to all the teams. I know they put a lot of work in, especially in this hard offseason where you had like you can't really go visit the guys. You can't do this. You didn't have a combine in Indy. Yeah, what did they had a combine in Indy? Nah, did he?
No, they was doing pro days.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I was saying all the COVID protocols. You didn't have the real full tape of everybody because you couldn't go to all the games and all the traveling. So I would say this is probably the hardest year for any college pro scout for NFL and the NFL scouts. Man, I would tip my hat off to y'all because y'all got the job done, and hopefully that anybody who y'all picked, keep y'all jobs because whoever you stood on the table for, if he pops. You stay another year. So shout out to all of them as well. Man, hey, next year the draft in Vegas, bro. I'm trying to get out there. For real. So
I don't care about the draft like that.
Yeah,
I ain't trying to stand around telling about the hood Roger deal.
Hey, but when we at the party, the after parties, man, that's all that counts, man. But hey, until next time, make sure y'all follow us at the Prophets Pod on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow my boy Rashad at Mr. Rashad Too Cool. You can follow me at Pastor Kev Preach Kev Preach with Rashad. We out.
Yeah.